Welcome, everybody. We are Any Way You Slice It. Individually, I am Jason Flom. This is Peter Tesian. And we are here to serve you a Beatles love fest.
Yeah.
All about this album right here. And very important, we want to stress that this is part one. And we're going to do a part two with Revolver coming up the next week or so. Because we see those as kind of like a, those albums go together.
Yeah.
So we have to talk about them quickly together. So tonight's all about Rubber Soul. Hope you enjoy it. And so being our first Beatles episode, and there's going to be plenty because they're the Beatles. I mean, come on. Let's talk about how we got into the Beatles, because this isn't like some new thing. This is a lifetime kind of love going on.
And we're both big Kiss fans, and there's a lot of coincidences between Kiss, especially with Beatles in a lot of ways being a prototype band for Kiss when they put it together.
Without a doubt.
With all four of them being a strong personality and the drummer singing the song on every album and all that.
Yeah.
So Beatles,
Die-hard Beatles fans might find it hard to believe. And we're going to touch on some things too. And die-hard Kiss fans, the smart ones, will know, the Beatles were like the prototype for almost everything Kiss did.
Yeah.
You got the four members. We're not going to get too deep into it now, but the four members who are all sing, big personalities. We'll leave it at that for now. But how did you get into the Beatles, Pete?
So, you of course you hear the songs on the radio your whole life, but when I got my first Beatles album, I checked it out from the main library here in Tacoma, and it was one of these, but it was the red one. And then I went back, loved it, couldn't stop listening to it, so catchy, it was just, I was addicted. And then I went back and got this one, and they had these two on cassette. And they weren't like, when you see White Album, it's like part one and part two tapes. These were longer, but they were one tape versions. Remember that? Mm-hmm. The red and the blue ones were like one tape. So that's how I got into them. And my friends Matt and Jeff, we would go get records go to the record stores all the time. Our friend Matt started driving first. There's a record store here in Tacoma called Golden Oldies. We can go out there. I remember getting Let It Be there. And a bunch of
Golden Oldies by the
All Things
BNI.
Must Pass and the Imagine album, and I think I got Sgt. Pepper there, a beat up Sgt. Pepper, So I couldn't afford a nice Sgt. Pepper.
Every old record store has a beat up Sgt. Pepper.
yeah, totally. So that's it for me. But those two comps were the first ones that really got me. So to this day, of course, the flow of those, they're so good.
Yeah, the Beatles, one of those bands, and I can't say this with a lot of bands, but they were just always there in my life from early 70s when I was 3-4 years old. My dad would have the early, he was more into the early Beatles, to be honest with you, the pre-drug Beatles, if you want to say. So I knew all those songs instantly, like I Want to Hold Your Hand, Hard Day's Night, I should have known better. I remember really clinging on to that song early on. Maybe it was the harmonica, I don't know, but that song, to this day, that's like probably my favorite early Beatles song. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they were always there. And then, of course, we get into Kiss and things, and heavy metal in the 80s, and, the Beatles kind of took a back seat. But then, the big year for me was 1989. I had just graduated high school. And the mind's expanding a bit. And getting into Dylan, things like that. Yeah. And, Dylan, Beatles, those kind of things, they're intertwined if you dig deep. Maybe not even digging deep, but they're intertwined. Yeah. And that, you mentioned the library. Yeah, the library. Go there, pick up the White Album or whatever.
Back then, the library was such an amazing thing to have that library card.
It's a treasure trove.
Yes, they had just tons of great stuff.
They really did. Yeah. I mean, I can sit here and probably name 20 bands I got into based on checking it out at the library and listening to it first.
Me too. And not just old historical stuff like this, but like Stereolab. I remember I checked out every Stereolab CD from the library and burned them all. And that was more like, that was probably 10 years later. But the library in Tacoma, we have a pretty big library in Tacoma. They always had cool stuff. They had a big music selection. So
In a way, if you look at it in this way, the library was like YouTube back then.
that's true.
Because I remember being at the library looking through CDs.
Yeah.
And like, oh, Robert Johnson. I've heard some of the bands I like talk about him. I'm going to take that.
Yeah, and you without having to pay, you'd be able to take it home, check it out.
Whereas nowadays on YouTube, going through your feed, you see all kinds of stuff, you know.
You might see a song pop up from an album, but to be able to check out the whole thing with the notes and just have the whole thing for a week, it was 10 CDs you could check out.
Wow.
And for me, being a music lover and just exploring everything I could explore, 10 was not enough. I'd be going back 2 days later and taking a handful of them back that I didn't really like that much, and I learned a lot from
That,
it.
and that's just what it was. It was, you know, a taste test. You know, like, yeah, certain things I would get, and okay, I'm not into that at all.
Yeah.
But certain things, that's when it really now then you're at the thing looking up all their other albums and putting those on order.
Yeah, yeah.
It's coming in from the Linwood Library, you know, whatever. You know, and it's going to be
Absolutely.
here in 4 days. Right on.
That's absolutely. Yeah, there wasn't internet. This is right before internet. And when internet did start, it was like, well, there was like one website for Led Zeppelin or one website for, you know, whoever. There wasn't a million sites for everything, and there wasn't Wikipedia. There wasn't all this information just like organized and ready to go, you know. And like Amazon Music and these different music sites, of course, where you can just hear anything now. You couldn't do that then, so yeah.
Yeah, and you know, we're talking about CDs, but it was movies too. Like, it's probably the first time I seen Hard Day's Night and Help.
Yeah,
Things like that.
Yeah, I checked those out. Yeah.
And just, you know, again, classic movies, you know. You wouldn't go down to Video Magic off Pacific Avenue and get Rear Window, but you could get Rear Window from the library.
Dude, I checked at Movies to Go over there by Mildred. I checked out John Lennon Imagine so many times. I almost probably single-handedly wore it out myself.
That's a great
And I taped like all the little live Beatles clips off there onto a cassette so I can listen to like this half a song in the car or something.
Yeah.
You know, Imagine's a great movie.
Yes.
Yeah, really great.
So what we're getting at is we've been into them, you know, since the late 80s.
Yeah.
And
we love libraries. That's what we're getting.
we love libraries. Oh my God.
And they're probably getting their diminished funds these days, which sucks. But.
Yeah, libraries aren't what they used to be.
Yeah.
Because of things like YouTube and what we're talking about. But hey, you know, that's 2025 right there. So obviously we're taking on Rubber Soul first. And a lot of people consider this, myself included, Peter as well, their first full, real, perfect album. Don't get me wrong, I love A Hard Day's Night and all that early stuff. And
It's funny you mentioned Hard Day's Night because Hard Day's Night, I think, was the only other album comprised of all original songs. But this was all original songs, but they were all so special and colorful. And but this is meant to be all originals. They're not gonna throw any Chet Atkins songs or anything on this one.
Well, there's one that sounds like one.
Yeah,
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But you know, for me anyway, you know, when an album gets such high acclaim from one Brian Wilson and actually influenced Pet Sounds, which I consider to be the greatest studio album of all time, you know, you're going to pay attention. And Rubber Soul was just that. Brian loved this album. Absolutely. He couldn't sleep the night he heard it. He listened to it over and over again, smoking some marijuana.
And you said he heard the American version.
Oh, he must have.
Probably.
I assume so.
Yeah.
So 2 versions of this. I happen to be holding the American version. Probably, when did we deem
It probably was Brian's copy.
I think it was.
Probably.
Look, he even wrote Property of Brian.
Yeah, he's
So,
going to put it on eBay tonight for $5,000.
For the record, it would be worth way more than that. Can you imagine having Brian Wilson's
It
copy
says
of
Brian
Rubber
Wilson on the back. It's got some like, you know, like little lyrics for God only knows, some ideas or something like that.
Oh my God. Oh man. 5,000, that's it. Just 5,000. But this is the American version. I think we probably deemed that this was released probably in the 80s. This one I'm holding. Here, I'll let you see what the album looks like.
Yeah, I think it was either late 70s till about 81. I think they used this.
Mhm.
It's upside down.
There you
But
go.
I think they used that that sticker for up until real early 80s.
And never mind that it's actually sun warped. Long story.
Accidentally left it in the car. Short story.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So, Rubber Soul, there's so much to talk about. The first thing I want to mention today, and we're going to call this the Marijuana album. Because it was directly influenced by marijuana, as they have admitted. Let me take you back, Peter.
Mm-hmm.
August 64. Where were you?
Take me back. Dun-dun-dun.
August 64.
Where was I?
Yeah, exactly.
It's more like, what grade was my mom in?
Exactly.
So this baby starts with Drive My Car.
Yeah, the any version except the American.
That's the real version.
Yeah.
That's the way Beatles wanted it.
Yeah. Well, the American version starts with "I've Just Seen a Face," and you know. Oh wait, I was talking about August '64. That's when the Beatles were introduced to marijuana by Mr. Robert Zimmerman in a hotel room in New York City. Ringo went in the room first with Bob Dylan, of course.
Oh, I thought they were in the limo. No?
No, I think I might know what you're talking about, though. No, it was in a hotel.
Okay.
Ringo went in first, and then he came out of the room, and John and Paul and those guys were looking at him. Like, what happened in there? He goes, smoked marijuana.
Smoked some trouble.
And they said, what's it feel like? He goes, the ceiling's like coming down on me. And they immediately went in the room.
Because it was his first time smoking.
Yeah. And they immediately went in the room, and Bob introduced them to marijuana. How cool is that Bob's the first one you do that with? You know what I mean? that is like the coolest story of all time. I'm sorry. Anyway, their minds started opening. They start doing it on the regular, of course. And they start writing new songs. And thus behold, Rubber Soul. Mm-hmm. Should we talk about this album cover really quick? Because there's a story all to itself about this. This was taken in the garden at John's house. And they took all kinds of photos, obviously. And the photographer, I can't remember his name, and it's not listed on the back. Do you remember? Oh, Robert Freeman.
Thank God we remembered his name.
Oh, God. Good thing it's written on the back on the corner. He had a piece of cardboard the size of an album up, and he was projecting images onto it. And what a way to see what your album cover is going to look like, right? And at one point, the projector tilted up, or maybe it was down, I don't know. Maybe up.
Yeah.
And it elongated the photo. And they immediately were like, that's the one. So that is why it looks like this.
Stretchy.
That's kind of stretchy too. Is that not the coolest logo?
This is psychedelic. This is a nice psychedelic, rubbery looking strawberry alarm clock kind of looking type thing. They're stretched, and they also turned it because if you look at the normal picture, they're standing straight up. Mm-hmm. And they're wearing a lot of brown.
Doesn't have the same effect either.
And also, as far as brown, this is brown on the American too, and it's orange on the UK.
I prefer this color.
I like this one too because it just goes together really nice. It's kind of dark. The orange one's like, bam, there's no orange on the album cover, and the orange is popping, but...
And honestly, they couldn't be looking any cooler and better at this point. I mean, that is a perfect photo. It really is. So, you know...
It's the way film looked then. It's just all of it. You know?
And when the album cover's that cool, you don't need your stinking name on the cover. Where does it say Beatles on it?
Yeah, it's true.
You have to look on the spine.
Yeah.
Right. This spine doesn't even say it, actually.
Yeah.
I guess you have to look on the back.
Yeah.
Okay, there's the back for you. This, again, is the American version. So, back to the tracks. I've Just Seen a Face starts off the American version. And, you know, 1965, the Byrds are huge. Folk rock is, you know, the folk rock boom.
And that's coming from America. So that's why the American version leans that way.
Yeah, also...
And then second's Norwegian Wood. So they really set this up for... And then they just kind of did it up normal after that, like whatever. But they started with I've Just Seen a Face because that was the most... Mm-hmm. So it was strong, but a twangy tune. I'm surprised he didn't put... what's the one that's... it's If I Needed Someone.
And the reason he says that is the absolute most Byrds-like song they've ever done.
It's
I mean, like,
a lovingly
completely.
ripped from the Birds. So much that George Harrison sent it to him and said, "Check this out." So
Maybe that's why they didn't put on it, because it was so similar. Like, people might cry rip-off or imposters.
oh, I thought they would just cry.
You know what? We're going to have to just, for this, let's talk about the standard track listing, the one everyone has become accustomed to. We're talking
Which
about...
is this.
Yeah,
Got
so
the CD here with the standard.
let's talk about this opening song, because it's a ripper.
And it is, if you get the CD, not the new CDs, the Digipacks. Those sound good, by the way. But this is the standard one that was out for years. It's got the UK track listing, but in America, you get the UK track listing with the American cover with the brown. Interesting.
Yeah, I think that came out like in 87 or so. They re-released them all.
It's interesting. They deemed this the worthy version of the music, but they're still holding out for this
Yeah,
brown
the
album cover.
cooler brown album cover.
So, yeah. So Drive My Car, amazing.
The first thing I notice is the Motown-ish bass line.
I can't remember if Drive My Car has Rickenbacker. I don't know if it does. There's 2 or 3 songs in here where he had a Rick. It really changed the sound.
Yeah, I know it was the first song that they worked on for the album, and it's the first thing I think of. How could they leave this off the American version? This song would have been all over American radio.
Yeah.
It's just it's a perfect opening. It's fun with the ooh ooh and the beep beep and all that. But the bass line, and you're gonna hear me say that a lot throughout this episode, so bear with me.
It's just so strong.
Yes. Yes.
Really, really good.
It's just a great opening track.
Yeah.
You know.
Not that I've just seen a Face is a bad song. It's good, but what a joke to not have Drive My Car open.
It's an album opener if there ever was one.
That's crazy.
I'm sure they realized that when they recorded it too.
Yeah.
So up next is Norwegian Wood, and I don't know about you, Peter, but I don't like hearing about the Beatles bickering or anything like that. You know, you hear that a lot when you really delve deep into who wrote what, and as far as Norwegian Wood is concerned, there was some bickering between John and George about the sitar part.
Well, later.
Yeah.
After the Beatles were done,
Yeah.
John would George. It sounded like George in his book "I Me Mine" took a little credit for basically playing that melody, which is the vocal melody, really.
And John claims that he came up with it on guitar, which you hear him playing on the actual song, and he just told George to copy that. And George went and sat in the corner for 20 minutes on the sitar and came up with it.
But again, it's the
Copy.
vocal melody, pretty much, isn't it?
Without a doubt.
So he didn't even really come
Without
up
a
with it.
doubt.
He already had it, really. So he just didn't like that George took credit for it. I think George probably just worded it badly, really. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
His quote was, I don't know, I just had to sit in there. I wasn't doing much with it, so I picked it up and started playing it.
Yeah.
But he does a great job, obviously. And it's the first sitar heard on any kind of pop, type of song. And so it's pretty groundbreaking for that reason alone. But Norwegian Wood is one of those songs that it's like lyrics come first in the song. It's almost like a Dylan song in that way. You really listen to the lyrics, and the lyrics tell the story of a marital affair that John had. The interview I heard, John didn't remember specifics, but he knew it was about that. And interesting thing about the lyrics, towards the end,
Paul threw in some lines.
That really changed the face of the song, if you think about it, because Paul threw in lines about burning the house down, and I didn't realize that's what it was about until I listened to it, knowing that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Hey, it reminds me. When we did our Harder Than Hell Kiss episode, I don't think I ever knew that Paul wrote the. What is it? I'm 93, you're 16. That's a Paul Stanley line. He wanted Gene to put in there, and supposedly Gene was like, "Really? You think so?" And Paul's like, "Yeah, do it. It'll be weird." Did you hear that?
If I knew that, I have since forgot.
See, because I think it was a very recent, like from this last year or two, Paul Stanley interview where he said that. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. The 3 Kiss fans we still have left who watch us will dig that bit of trivia.
Yeah. I mean, they should be Beatles fans, really, too.
Oh,
because to me, it's the other greatest rock, pop.
And you know why else they should
Quartet.
be Beatles fans?
Why?
Because their heroes Kiss worship the Beatles.
Yeah, heavy metal Beatles, bro.
If there weren't a Beatles, there'd be no Kiss. Period.
Yeah.
So yeah, Norwegian Wood it's just like you brought up the melody. It's beautiful.
Musically, it's all hook too. You said the lyrics are important, and they are, but it's just all hook. You just can't deny that.
Yeah,
it's just another. It's mellow, but it's a really
win-win.
powerful song. Yeah.
Yeah, great John
Beautiful
song.
song,
Great
yeah.
John song. You Won't See Me. The funny thing about You Won't See Me next is it's like 3.5 minutes long, which today's standards, it's nothing. It was their longest song. This is album number 6.
Is that the longest song?
This
on
is
here?
album number 6, and it's their longest song, period.
Well, they're still trying for hits.
That is their Inagata-Davida.
You know, the live version's 29 minutes long. So, like, when you're writing a bunch of songs and you're thinking, who knows which one's going to end up being a radio hit? You don't really know until it really comes together. I mean, sometimes, I think with like Paperback Writer and stuff, they all were like, oh yeah. And he just basically was playing it for him on piano. But like with some things, you don't know until it really takes shape. Layer some stuff on, hear the background vocals, somebody might have a cool idea, and pretty soon it's a hit single. So when you're writing all these, they're just trying for like, any one of these might be the next #1 hit single or whatever. They don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a bunch of shorties,
Yeah. But not this one. This is 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, this one's 3.5.
Okay.
And this is Jane Asher song, right?
Yeah, there's like 3. Paul was kind of going through tough times with her.
Yeah.
I think she'd be history by now.
She was off doing things, and he didn't always like that. Or
Right.
she wasn't maybe getting back to him or whatever.
I love the first line. When I call you up, your line's engaged. It's like just another way to say it's busy. You can't get
Well, he
through.
rhymes it with age, right?
Yeah.
So, act your age.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's again, you're gonna hear us say this a lot. Great bass line, great melody, call and response vocals.
Paul is a genius, dude. I feel like he's been so successful forever. He's almost like the one that a lot of people I know they want to hate on, like,
Really?
oh, John's cooler and blah blah blah, but they're both so cool in different ways. But Paul, with his bass playing and even his piano playing and his and not just his amazing singing, those like 9 different powerful different voices he can bring out. Like why don't we do it in the road? His singing is insane on that. Same guy that sang Yesterday, but like his bass playing, George Martin would say his bass playing was the strongest instrumental thing in the Beatles.
I probably agree with that.
And
Actually,
then
there's no doubt.
And then on the next album, he does this, does the solo on the lead-in song.
Yeah,
and
we'll
he's
get
just,
to that.
dude was just amazing, and I have no problem giving it up for him. I don't care if he did silly love songs or whatever later, or whatever might get on people's nerves. Paul McCartney, man.
Yeah, my favorite solo album by him would be his first, because it's basically literally all him.
Yeah.
My
favorites.
Linda might have did a few things, but it's like, you think of now, you would think of Beck does everything on his album. So this was the 1969-70.
Everybody didn't do that.
No, it was, and that album is so good. Maybe I'm Amazed is on there, of course.
As albums as a whole from him, I would have to say maybe McCartney and McCartney 2. Those might be my favorite ones, because McCartney 2, that's got the original version of Coming Up. But once that live album came out, you hear the live version on the radio. That's we kind of grew up hearing the live version of Coming Up.
McCartney 2 is the one where he's doing the silly face on the cover, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a close up of his
Yeah.
face. It looks kind of faded and weird.
Yeah.
There's Frozen Jap and Rainbows and every song. That's really good. But it's him alone. But the first one is him alone with the 4-track.
Yeah.
Like he didn't have much to make that. But anyway,
some of the songs sound unfinished, but that's their charm. Really.
Yeah, it's raw for sure. But I just want to take a minute to say, the people that don't want to give it up for Paul, and like it doesn't have to be a Stones or Beatles, it doesn't have to be a John or Paul, it doesn't really have to be one or the other. But I every time I listen to a Beatles record, I hear that bass playing or whatever, like this is cool shit, and then his vocals and his whole idea for the Magical Mystery thing and like all this stuff. And even the other Beatles were starting to hate on him a little bit, because that's a powerful dude. I mean, he could do anything really.
Yeah, I just heard a quote from George Harrison today talking about how when George would come in with a song, he'd be like, okay, this is the way it goes. And there's really no room for improvisation or anything.
Oh, when Paul came in?
Yeah.
Oh, when Paul, yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, he
Yeah.
knew what he wanted.
That's tough because when you're a genius like that, I guess you're just
Mhm.
I'll play it the way you want to play it, or I won't play it
the
all.
famous line. The famous, and it's not
Anyway.
the first time you'd ever said that. It's just we see it on video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, what were we on? I just wanted to get up for Paul because like people want to hate on Paul, but total
Yeah.
genius.
I seen Paul 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, here in Seattle at the big arena Coliseum.
Mm.
Probably I've been to over 400 concerts. Probably my favorite.
Yeah.
And the dude was 79. And just, he's out there for 2.5 hours. I think he played almost 40 songs and never took a break. It's not like there was the 10-minute drum solo where he went backstage.
Yeah.
Just, his voice. I mean, he's 79. It's
Yeah,
not like
he's pretty old.
But still, it was so good. It's just incredible hearing, all those songs you would really want to hear live, and some that surprised you. Even from Wings, some great Wings songs.
When you've been screaming for a living like that your whole life, I mean, he still physically has some energy. He gets around, but your voice, it can't really last through that.
Yeah.
Sinatra only made it with his voice, with the tone and stuff and the pitch control until like, I don't know, mid-60s, and then he's kind of done.
Yeah, and he was just a crooner. People singing rock. That's a different story.
Yeah.
Ask Don Dokken.
Joe likes bone.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those songs. Can't see it. All those songs where Paul's screaming his head off. I mean, that'll do you in.
Yeah.
Look at Paul Stanley.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, You Won't See Me is amazing. Think for Yourself, the first George song on the album, and I'll say it more on the next album. But yes, George was really coming into his own.
Yeah.
Um,
This is my first George song where I'm like, not where he had some stuff earlier that was pretty good, but this one's like, whoa, what's that?
yeah.
It's killer.
Yeah. And this is better than Don't Bother Me and those other songs he had up to this point. But sorry, George, we're gonna talk about Paul for a second. That fuzz bass makes the song.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe me, listen to it and picture it without it. I mean,
somebody let Paul borrow a prototype fuzz pedal. Fuzz is becoming popular, and there it is. One of the strongest things about that song is Paul. So
there's Paul overshadowing everybody again.
Yeah, probably. I see why they. I mean, I see why they hated him. I'm starting to hate him too.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, fucking asshole.
The Word is next. You can see they're going towards the psychedelia. Is that a word, psychedelia?
John had said that The Word is kind of like summer love song before summer love. Kind of like.
Exactly.
Yeah, touching base on that.
It's preaching the Word.
Yeah.
And what is the Word?
The Word is love, Jason.
Okay, thank you. It says here it's sung by John, Paul, and George, but it's a John song. You hear these interviews with McCartney be like, "Oh, that's 80-20 John." You'd like to divide it that way.
The Word is one of my favorites, and it's the first Beatles song that when my girls were young, when they were like 4 or 5 years old, because one of their like YouTube shows, I don't know, some kind of vegetable gummy bear crap, like I don't know, one of their shows used The Word on it, and they would watch that episode over and over so they could hear that song.
Hey, that's what it takes sometimes. And speaking of children's Beatles songs, we're going to get to one on the next album.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, it was kind of like that song spoke to me more than the others because it was a children's song, but we'll get to that. The Word's incredible. I love the vocals in particular.
Great groove.
They're just getting the harmony, they have it effing nailed at this point.
And the snare drum, the way the drums sound, you hear it on The Word too, like and Drive My Car, like it is a step up from Beatles for Sale, like sonically a little bit. It just really, the drums punch on here. He had a new Ludwig kit on here, and they all around, they had some new gear going on. He was using the Rickenbacker on, like, what was it? Girl? Was it Think for Yourself? I think 2 or 3 songs on here, he used the Rickenbacker on bass. And he would use it, I think, exclusively on the next album. But John and George got new Stratocasters. A little bit of a different sound for them.
the Rickenbacker, of course, influenced by the Byrds.
And the 12-string Rick guitar was what we were talking about on that George song. If I needed someone. Yeah, we're gonna get to that.
Yeah.
So those are their guitars and their gear at the time. You
know what? I'm just realizing, because I have the American version in front of me, and I'm kind of going off of that, which I'm going to put this away because we skipped Nowhere Man, which is not on the American version.
Ooh.
So let's talk about Nowhere Man from every other version except America. I mean, Nowhere Man.
Huge song.
They even did it live.
And it's huge. It's just a big part of the Yellow Submarine movie, too. That's an important sequence in the movie there.
Yeah. And it's Lennon. This is Lennon not singing about girls and love and all that. Again, he's introspective. He's singing about himself is what he's singing about.
Yeah.
But, just a great song that needs much acclaim.
A lot of the album is stretching out lyrically away from girl stuff. And when it is girl stuff, a lot of the time on here, it's
not your standard. Well, the next song
it's got a negative slant to it.
The next song we're going to talk about is the biggest love song on the album.
So Nowhere Man is the song where I think that's the one where it's him and John and George on their Strats, right?
Yes.
And they got their little amps with a microphone between them. They're playing that thing in unison together throughout the song, especially at the end, I think.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Nowhere Man
Beatles playing Strats.
Easily one of my favorites on here.
Yeah.
So Michelle is pure McCartney. He even sings in French. It's a romantic little ditty.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. It is beautiful.
One of my favorites.
Really? On this album?
Michelle and Girl. That's a great pair of like chill, beautiful, dark songs.
So my first girlfriend, her name was Michelle. And I never associated the song with her. Thank God.
Oh, we mentioned this. And my first girlfriend was Michelle too.
Oh, really?
The same girl.
Ooh, she gets around. Anyway, so I never associated with her simply because she probably never heard of the Beatles, which is pretty much why she's not around.
Screw her.
This is why she's not around.
Get out of here.
So I'm glad I can hear the song now, and she doesn't come to mind.
So Michelle is...
Except she just did come to mind when I brought that up. So.
Paul's story on that is that he went to some of John's art parties, get-togethers. And he would croon, sit in the corner with his turtleneck and play this, French sounding thing. Michelle, I guess he had it before the Beatles. It's just some chords he had a long time ago. And for this album, John said, hey, what'd you ever do with that? You should finish that or record it. So I guess John brought it up with him. Let's maybe put it on the album. So they cleaned it up, and there it is. It's great. It's got a couple jazzy chords in there. It's really killer.
Pure McCartney. Yeah. That's certain songs you're just like, that's Paul right there. That is absolutely Paul.
Yeah.
I could hear Michelle being on that first album we talked about, his first McCartney album. So yeah, great song. So what goes on? Ringo gets thrown a bone.
You gotta have a Ringo tune.
Yeah, there'd be a much better Ringo song on the next album, but for now they're still kind of emulating the whole Chet Atkins, Buck Owens kind of thing. Kind of their version of country. It's fine. Maybe we should leave it at that.
So what other bands did that? Because Kiss kind of used Beatles as a prototype in more ways than you would think. But if you really investigate and compare, like them throwing Ringo a bone, giving him a song on every album, is definitely what they wanted Peter Criss to do. But what other bands really did that? Like, who else did that? Did anyone else really?
Hardly. Not many bands had 4 singers.
And when Peter Criss sang, it was badass.
Yeah, and Peter, give him a little credit. He would do a little bit of writing here and there.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot of the time it was from his previous band. He would use their old songs, but it's a good question.
Because it's Kiss is so much like this, and because that prototype started with the Beatles, even though Ringo wasn't the singer, Paul was or whatever, they pushed for it, and it worked.
Just in general, the fact they wanted all 4 guys to be, in the forefront in some form at some point.
There must be some other band I can't think of that's like
let's
that.
put it this way. You know this. I love the Kinks.
Yeah.
I love the Kinks. Off the top of my head, I couldn't even tell you who their original bass player was.
yeah.
Okay.
Still about Ray and
Ray and Dave.
yeah.
Mick Avery too. But yeah, I couldn't even tell. Like the Beatles, like if you don't know, then why are you on this planet? I mean,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like they were such strong personalities, and you know, again, Kiss was too.
Yeah.
You know, so
So it's a remarkable thing that this isn't a Kiss episode, but it is amazing that Kiss were able to do that, and the prototype was right here, you know. And even though Ringo's songs we kind of chuckle with some of them. I mean, I think I've read that John and Paul were chuckling as they threw him the songs too, like, here, how about this Yellow Submarine thing, you know, or whatever. They give him some silly stuff sometimes to keep it light, you know.
yeah.
So kind of interesting and pretty cool, I think.
I'll tell you what though. If any Ringo song lacks, he makes up for it with his drums on every other song because, man, especially on the next album we're going to talk about, he is on top of his game.
Dude, he had a really cool.
Yeah.
He's from that school where, like, you know, they were listening to jazz and stuff, I think, on the radio just as much as pop and R&B and stuff. So, shuffly stuff and stuff where the you know, they're playing straight eights, rock grooves, but then
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he had that skippy thing like Bill Ward on the first couple Black Sabbath albums too. There's some swing in there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And Ringo had it. Ringo would always, I always think of it, Ringo would start a drum fill busier than he would end it. You know, it's like one awkward little hit at the end of it. But it's such a cool hook for him, you know,
It's his personality.
the way he does it.
The best musicians show their personality through their instruments.
A lot of people would be like, you know what I mean? He's the opposite. He'd be like, and come in. It's like, I'm gonna go somewhere, but nah, I just hit a couple beats.
Yeah. And we love him for it.
Yeah,
But
he had a swagger on his beats.
So listen, What Goes On is not the worst song of all time or anything like that. But
It ain't
when
my
you,
favorite.
when you put it up against Nowhere Man
Yeah.
and Norwegian Wood and
Yeah, it's filler. They knew it too, I think.
yeah, but he got his song.
Yeah.
So the next song, Girl, is kind of Lennon's answer to Michelle.
Yeah.
It's his romantic ballad. And I know you love Michelle, Peter, but the song, not the ex-girlfriend of yours.
I'm down. Where is Michelle these days?
Girl's way better than Michelle in my book.
What? Way
Yes.
better? What are these words way better?
First of all, it's influenced by the Beach Boys, and therefore, in return, influenced the Beach Boys. They had this thing going back and forth. It was a beautiful trade-off, back and forth thing. Girl is amazing. The breath, Peter. You can hear his breath. On purpose. They did that on purpose. But it's just a nice breathy vocal. The elongated girl, you know, all that. It's just, I love it.
Yeah, they wanted his breath, and as a kid, I always kind of thought it sounded kind of stony.
Yeah.
I
think that's what they were going for.
Yeah. So they either, you know, just upping the compressor wouldn't really do it. There's some talk of that, but I think you actually probably have to turn the input up a little bit when he breathes like that to get it that loud. You know.
Oh yeah.
So, but it's cool. I definitely wouldn't say it's better than Michelle, but they're to me it's a pair. You know.
Yeah.
One's got really cool chords, and one's really got a cool kind of a girl's kind of got a weird dark mood to it. You know.
Why you hating on Lennon, bro?
I don't
Bra.
know. He's just such a dip. No,
Okay.
There was this lady down here, a shop owner, and when I made buttons, we used to sell buttons to her. But she was talking about the Beatles when I was in there one day, and she goes, "Yeah, Paul McCartney. Oh, you mean the evil Beatle?"
What?
And so I've always heard things like this.
Evil Beatle?
People just fucking hating on Paul. You know, it's so funny.
But why is he evil?
I don't know. Maybe he broke up the Beatles, kind of.
Right.
For sure, maybe. I don't know. Who knows?
Oh man. Okay. We all know it was Yoko, right?
Yeah.
No, it's a long story. Read the books. Read
Yeah.
the books. Learn your history.
So I'm looking through you. Another Paul Gene Asher.
Yeah, another.
Kind of dark.
I like the little instrumental breaks between the verses, and it's you know, when we first started this whole Rubber Soul thing that we're on, which was like a month ago now, Because again, we recorded this episode like a month ago and had to redo it, and we redid it twice. And long story short, at the beginning of this whole thing, that was my favorite song on this album.
Really?
Yeah.
You were just geeking on that song?
I was geeking on that song big time. It's not anymore, but I'll tell you, I still love it. Yeah. And it's amazing. And it's just...
It is a great tune. Yeah,
it's a
absolutely.
Great tune.
It's one of Paul's... I think one of Paul's strongest on here.
Absolutely not
filler. There's no Paul filler on here.
No.
Not at all.
There's no Paul filler on anything.
One of Paul's strongest on here. Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm Looking Through You is great. That's a really cool tune.
No Paul filler. That should just be... That's a slogan.
It's so different than like, I want to thank you, girl, or whatever. I'm looking through you. There's some darkness going on. And it really starts... It starts on the album before this, really.
So this gets us back to what I mentioned, how
No Reply.
marijuana was changing their mindset.
Yeah.
Paul just flat out came out and said, it's funny you mentioned Thank You Girl, because he mentioned, like, we realized it wasn't Thank You Girl, and it's funny, I don't know if he said it this way, but it's the way it came out in this narration thing. We realized that Thank You Girl and She Love You, she love you, not loves you, she love you wasn't what we wanted to do anymore. We wanted to get deeper. So I'm Looking Through You is a great example of that.
They're not thanking the girls anymore.
No,
they're wondering what's wrong.
Wham Bam
with
Thank
them
You
now.
Ma'am at this point.
Yeah, and they're thinking they're bad.
Oh wait,
they're thinking they're bad.
Wham
girls.
Bam Thank You Man would be thanking her, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
In a kind of harsh way.
True.
Okay, so now we're getting to... I don't throw this term out lightly, Peter.
Masterpiece?
Yes.
Yeah. John thought it was his masterpiece.
By this point, he knows what I'm thinking.
Well, I mean, John mentioned that, I think in interviews at the time, he said that was the song he was most proud of, I think.
Well, I can see why, because it's a mature John Lennon.
Who was it that said you should write about something besides girls? Who was that?
Might have just been
George
Martin.
It was a writer. It was a friend of theirs, a writer or something, and he said, "Why don't you write about your life or something different?" So literally, here we have "In My Life." So
it's the perfect song, and I remember this from the Beatles anthology VHS set that I owned, and when it was on TV. It's the perfect song to show clips of the Beatles throughout the years, and it plays over it, and it's beautiful and nostalgic, and we all get a little tear coming down.
It's a tearjerker, absolutely. Really the way he sings it too, and the way he ends it, sings his vocal at the very end.
You would never know it's from like a 24-year-old, who likes to get high, and he's in this popular band, and he's a womanizer and all this stuff. No, it's a very mature song, and it's a step up in his writing. And again, I don't like bickering Beatles or anything like that, but if you think it was all him 100%, no, there was help here and there.
Oh, that's right. It's In My Life. A lot of the musical input is Paul, actually. That's what Paul says.
Paul does it all.
I don't think if John really said it wasn't, but Paul kind of said it in later years, I think.
Yeah, in later years, a lot of things came out,
and I think that is it piano? And it's just sped up so it sounds like a harpsichord. I can't remember if it's piano, but
harmonium. I think it's harmonium. Yeah,
that's George Martin. Mm-hmm. Slowed it down half speed. He played it. Sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wait, Peter.
Yes.
What's next?
Wait is next. Now I really like Wait. And Wait is the carryover song, isn't it?
They waited to record Wait because it was the last song recorded they needed one more song.
The rhythm track was recorded for Help.
Yes. Help came out earlier in the year, the soundtrack album, of course. Yeah. But it's good. It is good, yes. But I think you like it more than me.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I love it. It's got a cool, dark thing. It's got a great pocket.
It's a good song. It's a Lennon song. It's good. Mm-hmm. If I needed someone though, kind of overshadows that because this is for me.
It's an important George song.
Yeah. Yeah, very very Birds-like. So the previous summer, 1965, they were touring America, and we're hanging out with people like the Byrds and Peter Fonda. We'll get to coming up here on the next album. Mm-hmm. And I mean, let's face it, the Byrds were incredible. I mean, we could sit here and talk about the Byrds for an hour, but we won't.
8 Miles High.
Yeah. Which had a sitar, so influenced by the Beatles.
Have you ever heard the Golden Earring album called 8 Miles High? And the whole side is 8 Miles High.
No.
Like, you're just fucking rocking.
It's a studio album?
Yeah. Well, is it live? I swear the album's called 8 Miles High. It's early Golden Earring. Like, I don't know, 71 or something like that.
I do like early
good.
Golden Earring. And what's the song from the 80s that was really popular? Twilight Zone.
Twilight
That's a good
Zone.
song. Yeah.
But if you haven't heard that 8 Miles High version from Golden Earring,
Really?
it's badass. Check it out.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do that. I dig some Golden Earring. Early 70s. Yeah. But yeah, If I Needed Someone's great.
It's amazing he had 2 really good songs on here.
You know what happens when you have 2 really good songs in a Beatles album?
You get the babes?
No. Well, that too. The next album you get 3. And we're getting to that in a second. So
it is kind of amazing how he kept growing.
He really did.
And then on not Rubber Saw, then on Abbey Road, I mean, when you go on, I use Amazon Music, and when you go on Amazon Music and it shows like the songs you could just pick from, you know, if you don't want to go to albums and take the time to go through, Here Comes the Sun's #1. Like, holy shit, that's one of the biggest, most played Beatles songs.
Something has to be up there too, you would think.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
It's huge. I mean, Here Comes the Sun is huge.
And
So
even before that, While My Guitar Gently Weeps. I mean, come on.
that's true.
Yeah.
And Clapton. And All Things Must Pass. I mean, really, there's so many good songs in there. He could have stretched that out into like, put all the masterpiece tunes on 2 different albums. He could have really kind of stretched that out. But he kind of had a big blast there on this big, was it 3 record set?
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah. Did you know, Peter, that speaking of All Things Must Pass, he presented Isn't It a Pity to the Beatles for Revolver, and they rejected it?
There was a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heard that today.
It's a pity, Jason.
Well, at least he used it later. And,
Yeah. So If I Needed Somebody, it is a George masterpiece for sure.
oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, he was hitting homers at this point.
Yeah. And again, you know, call it pre-shadowing, but I think he might have hit it more out of the park on the next album.
Yeah.
Run for Your Life, Peter.
Not my favorite.
No, not at all. And John Lennon, if he was sitting here between us, and I would have my arm around him,
It's like his least favorite.
I'd be like, John, what do you think? It's still my least favorite.
My least favorite song I wrote.
You do a
It's
better
really just
English accent.
utter crap, if you ask me.
Yeah, exactly.
Nah, it's not very good, John. If I'm in the car with the kids getting silly, I can do a pretty good John.
Okay, all right.
He's got them certain way he does things. I don't know.
I can't do that.
I can't. But Run for Your Life, it's even John calls it a throwaway song. And it
Yeah.
is at the end. It does have a mood. It does have an outgoing kind of a feel, a mood, like a weird ending feel to it. That's all I can say about it that really...
The thing is, the lyrics are morbid.
Okay, the verses though. Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun. It's not that bad.
No, not at all.
The chorus though. You better run for your life. I don't know.
He got the idea. It's actually a line stolen directly from an Elvis song, which is, I think it was a cover of a blues song. I want to say the song was called Let's Play House. But it's basically, it's not even basically, it's straight out telling the woman, if you cheat on me, I'm going to kill you. Okay? So it's a
Subtle.
little harsh.
Yeah.
And it doesn't set well with such, you know, for, you know, you have the word, which is preaching love.
Yeah.
And then you have, you cheat on me, you're going to die.
Yeah, you cheat on me, you're gonna die.
So there's a contradiction there that doesn't really fit on the album.
For me, the intro, the verses, really not that bad. If it graduated to a really cool chorus, maybe with different chords or something, you know, it probably could have been cool. But this album was rushed. This album was rushed for Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, Peter, so when this album came out, imagine being a fan in 1965. Like, you know, you're a 22-year-old dude, you're digging the Beatles, everything they do.
You talking about the single?
Yes, we're talking about the single.
The same day the single comes out, that's mind-blowing.
Yes. Yeah. What songs are we talking about?
What are they?
We Can Work It Out.
We Can Work It Out. Wow.
And Day Tripper. I believe it was a double A side.
Could have been.
Had to be a double A side.
Probably could have sold more records making them two singles. You know, spreading
True.
those out over 8
Yeah,
sides.
you could have put, like, you know, Day Tripper backed with what goes on or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. But I guess they didn't care. They just write
yeah.
some more songs.
But they gave their fans a treat. And gee, in December, right before Christmas, everybody's buying that and buying this. And pocketbooks are being filled. EMI was just having a heyday with that, right? So, think about that though. Day Tripper backed with We Can Work It Out. First of all, if We Can Work It Out's the B-side, I prefer that. That song that's top 5 Beatles songs for me. I love that song.
Yeah.
Harmonian going through the whole thing. And if you don't believe me, listen to it now. It's literally going from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
You'll hear it the whole time.
Yeah.
Just a great song. And Day Tripper, I mean, that's them proving they can rock with, the Kinks were doing that kind of thing, the Stones. It's just, they recorded it during these sessions and decided to leave it off.
That's just crazy.
Yeah, and when we get to Revolver, you're going to hear that they did that same thing.
And these days, that's the opposite of what you'd want to do, really. You'd want to sell the album.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they were...
interesting.
They were way, not just ahead of their time, but kind of the only ones doing that kind of thing. Yeah. Innovators. How about that? So
yeah, it's like the Kinks and the Stones albums and everybody's albums at this point. We're like, let's make sure there's a few good, really strong songs in there, a few good, strong tunes, and then the rest of the album, put whatever on there. And this
blues covers,
Rubber Soul in particular, was like every song.
So that's the thing. That's what blew away somebody like a Brian Wilson, right? And and many others. He's just the one who's most vocal about it.
They were staying current with. They were getting a little bit psychedelic, but they were. It wasn't all just daisies, and it wasn't. You know what I mean? It wasn't the early days anymore. They were getting a little darker. They're getting cerebral, and the whole thing was just really a big step up in so many ways. Just sonically and everything, it just sounded so much thicker, and it was all originals. It's such a striking album, and I love all the earlier stuff. We got to do some early episodes too. Help and Beatles for Sale is one of my favorites. I play it all the time.
Every Little Thing is one of my favorite Beatles
I play it all
songs.
the time. I love it.
Yeah.
Yes loved that too. Yes did that.
Yes, you're correct.
Yes,
Yes, you're correct.
Yes, they did. So I love it. But this album, some really special stuff really started to happen here. And this is, I think Norman Smith. This is his last record, or I think Jeff Emmerich started engineering.
Correct. You're correct.
On Revolver.
Yeah.
I don't think there was. I think it was kind of cut and dry like that. This is Norman Smith, and he did a lot for them, and Jeff Emmerich did even more. Jeff Emmerich was like, kind of like a little inventor and stuff.
Yeah, being an engineer for the Beatles at this point was one of the most important jobs you could have musically. I mean, it involved a lot.
Yeah.
And we're about to get into more of that because on the next album, they really upped the game as far as innovation musically and tape loops and things like that.
And then the Beatles themselves, especially starting on Rubber Soul and even more Revolver, they're starting to really want to control things how they want it to be done. They don't want that guy in the lab coat over there telling them you can't have this and that, or no, we do it like this. There's stories of them on, I think it was Nowhere Man, those guitars. They really wanted them brighter and brighter. They wanted to sound twangy and have that little really bright and sparkle. And they had to really kind of twist their arm to get him to add more high end, because it was like, it was a thing. Those guys were trained in those studios then, to make everything sound uniform and normal and just good to the average listener. And there's just rules, and Beatles were so powerful at this point that the kind of like the people in the studio kind of had to listen. You know what I mean?
Complacent is not a word I would use to describe the four lads in the Beatles. They wanted to keep moving forward with new sounds, and Rubber Soul was really the first true step of that, creating a full album of songs, which sounds funny. Every album had songs, but this was a statement.
Yeah.
It wasn't, as you described, a couple of good songs and some fillers, some blues tracks and stuff.
And this really wouldn't have happened a year or two earlier because Beatles just got more and more powerful. So they were going to put their foot down and say how they wanted it to go. No, I want you to try this. This is how I hear it.
Yeah.
And around this time, even though this album was Rush, they were or because they were rushed, they were in there after hours a lot. And I heard that the studio was usually only open until like 11 or midnight or something like that. I think it closed at 11 p.m. usually, but not for Beatles.
Not for Beatles.
Beatles were the biggest group in the world.
Yeah.
So at this point they garnered this power, and they could wield and get some engineer to try something where the engineer might tell someone else no. You know what I mean? Some young group that just came in. So Beatles got their way, and they got to be expressive in a way on this album. It just wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened on the second album or whatever. You know?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of what fame brings you is people are going to listen to what you say and do as you say. So if you think about it, Peter, they're at the height of their power. They take this break. They're writing songs. They're taking acid. That's very important because we're talking about a very acidy album coming up.
Yeah.
I use the word acidy because they do, or Lennon did a lot.
Acidity.
Acidity.
Yeah. So
Acidity.
this album is their weed. This is their scrub album, dude.
Yeah.
And then the next one coming
They
up.
were organic. Now they're getting like into like things made in the basement.
Timothy Leary.
Yes, his name will get mentioned in this episode. Coming up, because up next, Revolver. Coming up, part 2 to this whole Beatles thing we have going on.
Uh-huh.
And then we're getting, Magical Mystery Tour, Sgt. Pepper.
Sergeant Pep.
The Albino album.
Sergeant Pep.
And, Abbey Road.
The Albino album.
Let it be. All that good stuff coming up. So, thank you for watching our Rubber Soul episode. And if you like this one, I mean, do I speak for you as well? Revolver is a step up even from that.
Well, yeah, it kind of is. I mean, is there anything weak on the album at all?
Revolver?
On Revolver? I don't really think there is.
Not as weak as What Goes On.
Yeah.
Okay, so
What goes on in your...
the high points of Revolver are better than the high points on Rubber Soul in my mind.
Yeah, you're talking about the 3 songs that they left off for the American version of Revolver. They're great.
Yeah.
Those songs are great. So.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, Revolver up next. Hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm Jason. This is Peter. Subscribe, like, do whatever you want because we frankly don't care. Okay, here it comes.
Oops.
A preview. Oh, wait. I thought you were showing the preview of what's to come.
To come? Okay. Yeah. Revolver up next.